Hello marketing friends, Andrew Walton here, and in this video we are going to talk about improving conversion on lasting impression marketing's landing page. So this is an interesting type of landing page, a common sort of page in the world of SEO and different types of online marketing where you do a competition analysis in hopes of getting the opt-in. So let's look at some ways to improve the number of people that will be signing up for this offer. So the first thing that I would say right off the bat is that this text right up top with the tagline here, this should be a true logo, not just a text that is on the page like the rest of the copy. Now, your logo could be a plain text logo. There's nothing wrong with that, but it has to be different than everything else. Like this is all in the same font. It's the same color. The sizing is similar. So your logo should stand out to create some sort of lasting brand awareness for you that over time people are going to come to recognize and associate something with. So I know that this is a new website, a new business, and the logo probably just hasn't been created yet, but this actually is something that's fairly important. This should stick out from everything else on the page. And again, it can be a plain text logo. It doesn't have to have any fancy images. That's totally fine. But I would move this probably, depending on how you treat this, if it's going to have fancy graphics, then you might move it into the top left even more here and leave this space up top for your headline. That's one option. Or just leave it here and have this be your headline. But in that case, this has to stand out. And actually another reason for that is right now this looks like your headline, and this is not your headline. Your headline needs to draw attention immediately, not your logo. So this is the headline of this page, but this is the place that immediately draws attention because it looks like the headline, and that is not what we want. The logo is more for branding purposes. It is not the thing that is going to compel people to read further or to take action. So that's the first thing I'd say. The second thing I'd say is that this is not a bad idea to have a place to give people to phone. It's actually a pretty good trust signal, but in this case, based on the page layout, I want this form probably to be above the fold. And just given the number of people that are probably responding to this, that are just going to call in when they don't know you and they don't like and trust you yet, because this is their first interaction with you, this is going to have an extremely low response, if not a zero response. There are contexts in which this makes sense. If you are HubSpot, or you are Moz, or you are another big marketing company that is well known, it's a sort of household name in the marketing world, then this makes sense because you already have trust built in and people are more inclined to pick up the phone and call. So this is one of those cases where seeing what bigger businesses are doing and copying what they're doing, we have to actually look at the why are they doing this and in what context does this work. A great example of this would be people in the weight loss space who copy a Weight Watchers homepage or landing page where Weight Watchers can talk about their product because everyone knows who Weight Watchers is and what they do. You, as a startup, say if you're in the weight loss space, you cannot talk about your product if no one knows who you are because you're because no one knows who you are, because you don't have that same brand currency. And the same sort of thing goes for this type of thing. This probably will not work in this context with most certainty. So actually removing this and moving this section up, even though clearly, okay, this is a form, it's easy to scroll down, having this button above the fold will actually make a difference. Now, of course, it will depend a little bit on screen size, and if lots of people are on mobile, then this form will probably be pushed down even farther. That's okay. You want to do as much as you can with the resources and the space that you have. So even if this only becomes above the fold for 30% of cases, that's still better than for 0% of cases. So I would still look at that. So now let's actually look at the headline and some of the copy. So the headline is "Find out how you stack up against your competitors," which is a decent start actually. That's pretty good. The one thing that this could use is more specificity, because there are so many ways in which someone can stack up against competitors. Are we talking traffic, sales, conversions, traffic from SEO, conversion rate, cost per click running Facebook ads? There are so many different factors and so many other people offering similar sort of analyses that being more specific will help you stand out in a pool where lots and lots of people are making similar offers. That is really important. From a design standpoint, you want to capitalize the first word in the first letter of every word in your title. It reads better, it draws more attention. I wouldn't do it for everything. That actually decreases readability, but in your titles, it makes a lot of sense. It looks the most professional and it draws the most attention. So that's what I would do here. Other than that, it's a good start. And here we have sort of the same thing. What strategies your competitors are using. Discover this and much more with our free competitor analysis. This is nice, the $97 value. This is something that most people don't put in. They don't explain the value in concrete terms to their audience. For other people, it doesn't necessarily have to be a dollar value, but giving some sort of concrete, specific explanation of what the real value is will improve conversion rates. So this is really awesome. Keep this. If you can justify the value with some proof, that is even better. So if down here you had, say, a testimonial in this space here, with, say, the image of the person and the quote that this analysis helped them get XYZ result, that would be really awesome, because then you're supporting the statement. Right now, you can sort of look at it and believe it or not believe it. It's definitely better to have it than not have it. Neil Patel has this on quicksprout.com. If you go over to quicksprout.com and look in the right-hand sidebar, he has his lead magnet for, it's like a 30-day traffic system. He says that it has something like a $297 value. And he doesn't have a specific proof case there just because of the way the thing is set up. But in this case, you do have the opportunity to provide some proof. So if you can do so, that will improve the validity of this claim and the effectiveness of it. Backing up a little bit, this can also become more specific, just like the headline. So the headline will say, can ask a question or make a statement about comparing yourself to the competition, and then we really have to have some sort of benefit of that. What's the big advantage of finding out how you stack up against your competitors? Ideally, you have some sort of actionable advice that will improve your performance and not just the understanding of how you stack up. Because it's one thing to say, okay, this competitor has twice as many backlinks as I do, or this competitor has 3 times as much traffic as I do. That is information, but it's not something that you can use. So if you can express in here the actionable item, the specific action step, the thing that people can do with the analysis in order to improve their business, that's sort of taking this to the next level. And sort of running with that theme, these 3 benefits, so this is a headline, and then we have 2 sort of, I guess you could say benefit statements here, but this is not congruent. It's not congruent within this section itself and with the rest of the page. So discover opportunities to increase sales. That looks like a subheadline. I would remove the period. It is not a paragraph. And then underneath, instead of having text in columns, I would have maybe a paragraph of text that actually talks about what this means to discover opportunities to increase sales. So continuing on with this specific theme that you have introduced here. So let's see, and actually, in terms of this whole section from a design standpoint, I would make this, say, so from where my mouse is here to the top left corner, top right corner here, and then down on both sides. I would make that all a solid, that background all a solid color. And then you can make this text black. So see, you have a white background here. This text is black. You might change this background color then from a solid white to an off-white, so it stands out against the white background. But that will improve readability of this whole section. The background is fairly nice. You can probably leave that in the background of the page in the margins, but just in order to make this look more professional, that sort of clean design will probably help the impression that you create and readability of the text here. So actually, before moving on, even though I was saying that this section here can be an expansion on whatever you say in this headline, a more ideal use would be, as I said before, a testimonial with a person's face and some lines of text about the result that they got. Of course, if you don't have a testimonial, I would say the best thing to do is to get one. You could say, do this report for free for somebody in return for some feedback. And it doesn't necessarily, the first time you do it, it doesn't have to be world-beating feedback. It can just be like, I found this report super valuable. I learned X, Y, and Z insights, and it's going to help me do this, that, and the other thing. You know, it doesn't have to be like this report helped me earn $1 million. It's okay to start with modest, legitimate feedback that outlines the benefits as much as possible of doing this work with you. And you can get better and better testimonials over time. As you do this with more people, as you give them time to get the results and follow up with them, maybe this individual gets the report and it takes them a month to implement everything and they only get the result 3 months after that. Then you can follow up with them and change the testimonial to reflect that. But some sort of proof in here is really going to be helpful. This is actually, let's see, this is pretty good if you get the other elements right here in terms of being very specific about what the offer is. If you do that here, then you don't have to change this here because contextually now this is specific because this is going to be referring to the offer that you're making over in this left-hand column. That being said, if this section is not specific, the way it is now, then in theory you would want to make this more specific. But in this case, my recommendation would be change the text on this side, and probably for version 1, leave this pretty much as is, because this is pretty good. The one thing that I would look out for is the name of your competitor. Do you actually want the name of the competitor, or do you want their URL? Because if they just type in the name here, I'm not sure you're going to be able to do the analysis unless you're able to figure out exactly who that competitor is with a Google search. It should be possible 99% of the time, but in all likelihood, I'm guessing you want the URL of the two competitors. So if that's the case, please just make that little change. And one thing you can do here is set, what's that called? The text that it disappears when you click in the box, but in the meantime, it will show gray, like HTTP, something like this, example.com. And it would be in a more grayed out text that doesn't actually exist. It's just sort of the image in the background. And when you click in here, it disappears and you can type it in just to show them exactly what they're supposed to type in. It slightly improves form completion. And here you could even do the same. It says name inside here and an example email in here, or your email rather, in here. But otherwise, the form is actually pretty good. The one big thing that we have to change is submit to something that is much more compelling, like get my report, or what else could it be? Get it now, something like that. Something to imply instant results, something to compel them to take action. Submit is one of the actually worst performing button texts that you could basically choose. So really anything that you can come up with is probably going to be more effective here. The color looks just fine. I like that, so let's move on. Okay, so here we want to capitalize the first letter in every word here, and we can just make this a little bit more concise. So instead of saying here is the type of information you will find in your free competitor report, you can say something like here's what you'll find in your free competitor report. Something like that. Just much more direct and to the point. I would look for some higher quality graphics here. So for a first effort, this is fine. Again, I know that this page is sort of a first effort and under construction, but really having interesting high quality icons actually does make a difference in terms of the how professional you look, and that's really, really important. This is not something that your viewers are going to think about logically, but they will have an emotional response and feeling that if these icons are very generic, that it's a low quality site. And the best example I could give for that was if you had somewhere on this page a very generic stock photo, like the businessman in front of his computer with his arms raised cheering. You know, one of those cliche stock photos that we've all seen a million times. The same thing goes for your icons, and it's not like they're going to see these and click away, but it will decrease the likelihood of them taking action. So I would search for just some different options here. You could have them maybe either custom made, something like Fiverr, Upwork, or just do a little more digging to find something that's a little more uh, interesting and a little less generic, and probably a little better fit to actually the text, because when we're saying Facebook ad and Google AdWords, this isn't the perfect image. Website traffic and links, well, this sort of, it could depict traffic, yeah, that's reasonably similar, but still, overall the icons can be better. The search glass is, again, ridiculously overused, so you may be stuck with using something like this. I would look for something different, but if you have to, I would find a way to make it a little more interesting in some respect. And here really is one of the key strategic points of this page, and that is that the focus, again, how you stack up against your competitors, curious what marketing strategies your competitors are using, it's all very general, and then you don't have sort of a central theme that's tying all of these things together. So traffic and links, Facebook ads and Google AdWords, SEO, these are all very, very disparate aspects of marketing. So you either have to tie them all together and saying, discover where your competition is getting traffic from, something like that. And then you can see, okay, are they getting it from search? Are they getting it from Facebook ads and AdWords? Are they getting it? This might have to be something like referral traffic or organic social media traffic or something to that effect. But if they're going to be three wildly different things, there are two things that can happen here. One is people are confused and they don't really understand what you do because there are too many different things, or you come up with one cohesive overarching theme that then these are all subsets of. And in this case, I would say driving traffic is that overarching theme that you could use in here. So you could call it your competitor traffic report, for example. Now, in terms of the descriptions, put the title here above the icon, and then you have all this space from here to here, this entire space, to give a more detailed description with more benefits. So not just say find out where your competitors are getting traffic and links from, but then you can also talk about the fact that once you know that, you can duplicate the process yourself or find low-hanging keyword fruit, low-hanging fruit keywords, or whatever it happens to be, more benefits in the text. And putting this above the icon will not only make that possible, overall it also looks better and reads more easily. Okay, so we finally got to the bottom. Now, this quote here is, it's not really, again, in alignment with everything else you're talking about on the page. So once you figure out what exactly the angle is going to be, the unique the unique angle or twist that you are putting on a general competitor analysis. So maybe it's a traffic analysis or a backlinks analysis or a paid traffic analysis or any other thing that's a little more specific, then this text should reflect that and only that. So just to give some concrete feedback on what's actually here is I think that this needs to go a level deeper. And by that I mean talking about wanting the reason for wanting your website, blogs, and YouTube videos to rank is to generate more traffic. And that ranking on the first page is a good way to increase traffic. All of that is probably too basic for where your target audience is at. This is probably not new to them. So you probably have to go a level deeper, like, okay, ranking on the first page, what does that mean for them? Okay, so they get more traffic. What does that mean for them? You can keep asking why. Why is that important? Why is that important? Why is that important? And get to something that is really compelling and really will create an emotional response. Okay, so and this too is a little bit generic. So again, even if we consider that you'll go back and come up with a cohesive theme for all of this, you really want to probably talk about more benefits or tell a very short story that connects with the values of your customer, something that makes you different and stand out and connects with the customer, not on the level of features or benefits, but on their values and their sort of, not the surface level pain points, but their deepest sort of core pain points and desires, the things that truly matter to them more than just more traffic. That requires a different level of digging and refining your messaging, but it's also more compelling, so it's definitely worth doing. And then the last thing I would say is down here, you want another call to action because you don't want to force people to scroll all the way back up. So I would say you have a couple options here. One is you just have some more, so you move this up actually, and you have a call to action here. Another option is you use this horizontal space and you have, say, some text here that's compelling them to opt in, and then the button here that will have a light box pop up where they can fill in all this information. The other option is you have an email only opt-in form where, say if they've looked at this and they're not interested, or they haven't taken action, I should say, maybe they are interested, but they've gone down to the bottom of the page then, and you give them the option to sign up just with their email address, and then you follow up with them in order to get the other information that you need. Or if they sign up with this particular button on the thank you page, you have them enter the additional information that you need. That's another option. I would say that it's hard to fit this sort of form down at the bottom, though you can do it with a light box that pops up. So I might test those against each other. I would probably try the light box first, just as a baseline, because that is what you're asking for here. But really, either way could win, and there's no sort of, in my mind, objectively superior option without testing. But you do need the call to action here. Either one of those options will perform better than having neither of them. So that's what I would do here. And I think that is really about it for this page. So the main takeaway here is the strategic approach and choosing something that is really more specific than just a competitor analysis, getting really, really specific about not just what the analysis is, but the results of that analysis and the thing that the business owner is going to be able to do with that analysis. And having proof elements will really help with that. If you have, or when you get, say, features on Forbes or the Huffington Post or whatever, it would be great to put those maybe in another section in here, just below the fold and above this headline. You could also put them down at the bottom, but I would probably put those trust signals up in here. Anyway, that will do it for this video. This one, we've almost run to 25 minutes, which is more than I expected. So I hope this has been valuable and interesting and useful. Please implement these ideas. Let me know how it goes. Let me know how your results change. I would be happy to know if this was useful and effective. So that will do it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in another video real soon.